Welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Here's an example. Last time I finished showing some of the books about looking at the earth from above that were photographed by Jan Arthus Bertrand. And this time I want to follow that up a little bit. First of all, I want to show you a book that was done about a little more than 20 years before his books. It's got 100 plates of amazing photographs. The first 25 of those show from around the world various housing solutions that communities have come up with, and the contrasts and all is really neat, and the shape patterns is really neat. There's another book that I want to share with you. Yeah, it was done by Layne as well. Canada from the Air by Bo Curtis and J. A. Crowless, or Crowless. This cover picture, that's Niagara Falls. And the book's, again, filled with startling images. And if you're interested, that's another place that, if you're interested, that you could follow up. Now, Jan decided to follow up on what he'd done. He wanted to reach not just adults, but also young people. Earth from Above for young readers, a text by Robert Burley. Now, it's I'm going to show you one picture. Often I get carried away. Boys, oh boys, I do. And this is from Kenya. And it shows a lone tree. It looks like a brain cell with all the connecting lines that go out to other cells. But it's a lone tree. The animals form these pathways coming and going to seek shade. Yeah, and I just found it quite a stunning picture. And then it shows a little map of where Kenya is, and so I found that a really neat book. Here's another book, and this book is called Earth from the Air for Children. Well, that's a fairly similar title, but there's no mention of Robert Burley on the cover. So I want to let you know that if you couldn't find this book was made for the North American public, and this book was made in England, and the title's different. Robert Burley gets credit on the inside, and all the pictures are the same as that were in the other book. And this is another picture that shows you some value in trees that we might not initially think of. This picture is taken in a Greek island called Crete. And this man is farming land which has been in the family for generations. And there's a lone tree. Unfortunately, it's sort of right in the middle of the two pages. But there's a lone tree here which he has not taken down and turned into farmland. He has saved that as a memory of those that came before him, fathers, grandparents, and so forth, parents and grandparents. I'm sure the whole family was involved in farming. So, you might think that Jan stopped there, but no. He got together with Robert Burley, brought out another book. It's The Future of the Earth, an Introduction to Sustainable Development for Young Readers. And this book's got some maps in it, some neat maps and neat photographs. And have I got one that I'd show you here? Well, this is a region of Nepal, which is north of India. And these people that are farming out here, there they are. They grow rice, and they've been doing it for a long time. And it says here that 80% of the people of Nepal live off of traditional farming. And then it compares it to Brazil, where 1% of the major agricultural firms in Brazil own roughly half of Brazil's farmland. So it's big business rather than traditional family farming. Last time I showed you this book, Things That Fly by Huck Scary, From Balloons to Jet Planes. And I wanted to share this book with you as a follow-up, Things That Sail. Doesn't have anything to do with being up in the air, but just so you know, he's got a number of interesting books out there. Richard Scarry, his dad, Great Big Air book. There's things that are nonfiction, but there's a lot of whimsy, as you're probably aware of in the book. Same with Cars, Richard Scarry's Cars and Trucks and Things That Go. Now, here's a place where you might be interested. Now, my two oldest sons were very interested in Richard Scarry. They enjoyed his books. And I came across this book, The Busy, Busy World of Richard Scarry, and talks about his life. It's got photographs and drawings and information about him and his work. And so I thought, well, if you're interested, here's a great big book. Boys, it's a giant cutaway book, it says. And it shows a picture of the Brandenburg. Now, the great big part is that when you open the book up, instead of just having 2 pages, the very center, you can fold another page out and another page out, and you could have a spread that would show you in detail the design of the Hindenburg. That was an idea that ceased to be pursued. The steam cars of the Stanley twins, and here you can see them in their bowler hats and their beards, and they're looking in one of their many prototypes that they designed. The tires look like big bicycle tires, maybe back in the day when I was first riding a bicycle. And but their cars had many pluses. Well, in fact, the Hindenburg had many pluses and one potential minus. This had a minus as well. So the minus was enough to rule out the pluses, a safety factor. So, but very interesting story to read about them and to read about this car and what it could do. Robert B. Jackson, well, he was obviously wanted to follow up on his interest in old cars. So he road race round the world. Well, it wasn't one that take 80 days. And it started in New York this time. It started, went to Albany and then across the United States and by boat around to Vladivostok in Siberia and across Russia, then ended up in Paris. And so it wasn't truly around the world. In other words, it didn't get all the way back to New York as part of the race. It's got old photographs. It's nicely told. He writes under very so that an 8-year-old, 9-year-old could enjoy this book. If you were more interested and you wanted to follow up, here's a book that you could follow up with. It's called The Great Race, the same race, the 1908 Round the World race. And in this book, Gary Blackwood has done tons of research. I suspect that so had Jackson, but has chosen to try to incorporate a lot of that so that you can know even more in depth about the various cars and teams and mechanics and all that were, and logistics of this amazing race. He does it really in sections of about reporting every 2 or 3 weeks on the progress of it, which is a nice way to have organized it. Well, thanks for joining me. And until next time, bye for now.